Hey guys, it's Maymay and welcome to another Christmas in July project. And this is one that I'm loving. I actually had something completely different in mind, but this popped into my head. And so this is what we're doing today. This is a box card. It closes like this, okay? These little flaps go up and it will fit in an A2 size envelope. All right. And when the recipient gets it, they just open it up and this becomes their little chimney with Santa stuck inside. Isn't it cute? All right, let's get started making it. So to start this card, what you're going to do is you're going to take an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock and we're going to cut it in half at 5.5 inches. So on the long side in your trimmer, in half at 5.5. So bonus, you're going to get 2 cards from 1 piece of cardstock and they will fit in an A2 envelope. So now we need to score this guy. So now we have our cardstock in our scoreboard with the 8.5 inch piece along the top. Now we're going to do our scoring and it's super easy. Ready for this? We're going to do 2, 4, 6, and 8. I also want to mention the cardstock I'm using is the Brutus Monroe, Not Your Mama's cardstock. This is the 130 pound. I think it's really good for this style card I'm doing because it's a box card and I want it to keep the body that I'm creating in it. So 2, 4, 6, and 8. I'm using my Teflon scoring tool because I find it works really well on this particular cardstock. Although my other one does fine, this one really works good on here. So if you have your Teflon bone folder, use it on this cardstock. Okay, now what we need to do is a couple more score lines. One is we're going to score at 2.5 inches all the way down the page, just like so, okay? Now, the other score line we need to make is not all the way down the page. Okay, in the video, I got ahead of myself a little bit. You won't have seen it, but I want to explain this to you differently. So this score line here, ignore it for a second. You have just done your 2, 4, 6, and 8 scores, okay? When you turn this in your scoreboard, I need you to make sure this 1/2 inch flap that's left here is the bottom. So when you turn it, you want to turn it like this and put that 1/2 inch flap to the bottom down here, okay? Once you do that, you're going to score at 3 inches all the way down the page, all right? So I did 3 inches all the way down. And then I'm going to score at 3 3/4, but I'm only going to score 1, 2, and 3 sections. I'm going to stop at this section. I don't need it here because that's the back. So here's what I mean. I'm going to go to 3 3/4, okay? And I'm going to score until I reach the 3rd square. I'm going to do this with marker to show you what these look like so you can see them because I know how hard it is with a white page. So give me just a second to do this in marker and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is what your score should look like. You scored at 2, 4, 6, and 8, all right? When we turned it with the 1/2 inch flap down, you score at 3 all the way down the page, and then you score at 3 3/4 only to the last rectangle or square there that we have at the bottom, okay? So that is what your score lines should look like. Now we can do some cutting, and we'll do it on this page so you can see what we're doing, and then I'll just do another one for the finished card. All right, so what we want to cut away first is this section here. We don't need this, but we do need this because it's going to be a flap. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in and make a snip here, and then I'm going to use my long scissors to finish this off because I do better with these long guys. Okay, you guys have asked me before when we're cutting, are we cutting the score line away? Are we cutting in the score line? Are we cutting beside the score line? Here's what I'm doing. On this bottom part here, I cut the score line away. On this part, I cut in the ditch of the score, okay? Because I want to keep the whole width of this piece. But here, I didn't need that extra little bit. Now I'm going to make a little snip right here. I want to do an angle cut here, okay? And I want to do an angle cut at the bottom. This just takes some bulk out of the finished project and just makes it look a little neater when it's all closed up. All right, now it's time to make some cuts, okay? And this is where it can get confusing, but don't let it. We're going to cut all the way to this line, okay? So every one of these guys are going to get cut to this second line. We're not going to stop at the first line. So here's what we do. We're going to go in like this, okay? And we're going to go in like this. And then in like this, cutting in the ditch of the score, all right? And then, or you can do this before, either way, I'm going to cut this away completely. I don't need this section. So I'm just going to cut this away. Now don't waste these pieces because these are perfect for sentiments. These are good scrap pieces to put into your scrap bin because you can always stamp something on those or punch something out of that. All right, so this is what we're left with. You're like, oh, I'm so confused. But don't be. Just take your time watching the video. No reason to get confused on that. All right, now let's fold all our score lines. And since I did this in marker, I'm going to fold them in and then crease them down. Okay, and I'm going to fold every score line except for one. So stick with me for a second before you go to folding, because I'm going to show you the one score line we're not going to fold. Okay, so I have folded all of the box score lines. Now what I want to do is do the fold down. This is the one we're not going to fold. Okay, these guys are going to get folded forward just like this, because these are going to be the tops of our chimney, the little concrete part of our chimney. And so this is going to get creased and folded, but that one piece is not. This piece stays like it is, okay? Because that piece will stand up in our card. All right, now what we want to do is fold this over, exposing the back side of this flap. We're going to apply glue to the back side of the flap and then fold this over and close it shut. So there's our glue, okay? Then I'm just going to bring this over and let it seal shut, and that'll get us a good square card base if we do it that way. You'll also see that our tall pieces in the back and these little flaps go forward like that, okay? So this will be brick, this will be white because it's our chimney, and then this will be decorated ever how you plan to decorate it. And then inside, we'll put our little Santa because he's going to be stuck in there. I think that made sense. I think it's pretty easy to do. And if you don't cut these flaps away, you have a traditional box card. So if you want those longer flaps like this, it's the traditional like you've seen before. So it shows you two ways to do that. All right, let's do a real one and decorate it. Now I've cut 4 pieces that are 2 3/4 by 1 3/4. And these guys are going to go right here. They're going to get mounted just like this, but I want to stamp them to look like the bricks really quick. I've got a little fuzz hanging there. So I'm going to use the stamp set called Santa Stuck, my stamp set, and I'm going to use the bricks from it and stamp this little guy. So let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to ink this up, and I'm going to start here at the bottom. And I'm not getting my head into the camera, so I'm trying to get this pretty straight. If it's not super straight, you just know, get over the top and get them nice and straight. So I'm going to start there at the bottom with that. And then I'm going to lift up. And you see I have this space here. I need to continue my pattern out. So I'm just going to turn it over. I'm going to ink my stamp up again. Let me put something underneath this. So I just got my little laminated sheet here. And I'm going to ink up my stamp again. And I'm just going to continue this out. Now it is going to go off the page, but that's not going to be a problem. I'll show you why in a second. So I'm just going to move this out away from the last stamp, the same width as the little mortar pieces or the grout, and then stamp that down. And you see it continues. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's a chimney. It's all right. And see how it continues off the page? That's okay. I'll show you where that's going to go. So I'm going to stamp all of them the same way. So these guys are all stamped up. My chimneys are all done. Aren't they cute? I'm going to come back and do a little work on those in a second. So I'm just going to put those aside for now. And now it's time to do Santa. If you watched my live video the other day, you'll know that I colored my Santa after I stamped it with my VersaFine. And I did that very carefully. And if you want to go back and watch that video, we'll link it below, because actually alcohol marker moves pigment ink. So today I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use the Finesse, which is made for alcohol marker coloring. I really like this ink. The only thing I want to caution you about with this ink is the surface is not completely level. It might look like it, but it has a little dip in it. So when you're inking up your stamp, you need to really run around the surface to make sure you get ink everywhere. Okay, and then we'll stamp our little Santa legs down. And there we go. Now we can color him. See where I missed that section there? It's 100%. You have to be careful with this pad. Let's do it again. I'll flip it over on the back side. That image was fine, but I want to make sure. Matter of fact, if you take the stamp to the pad, sometimes it's better that way. I'll show you what I mean. You just have to know that the center of these pads kind of dip in a little bit. So I'm going to move it all over there. Okay. And then come back here and give it a good stamp and let it sit a second. Let's let it transfer. I really didn't do a good job of that either, so we'll let that sit and transfer. Lift that up. Much better. See how I got a solid image in the middle? Just know that about these. It just has the slightest dip in there. At least this one does. The one you get may not have that, but I have to be a little overcautious of that. But I love the ink. It's a good dark ink too. I like it. All right, let's color this guy. Now, I am no alcohol marker colorist, so we're going to do this my cheater way. This is the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to use 2 colors. This one is, these are Nuvo markers, and this one is called Plum Tomato. And I'm going to start with the Plum Tomato, and I'm going to come in, and I'm just going to color his whole, anything that needs to be red, the whole section in this Plum Tomato. Then I'm going to come back with a darker red and do the shadowing. I'm not doing a 3-color blend here. One reason is, and I talked about this in my previous video, I'm not looking for a perfect blend. I'm really looking for something that looks a little distressed and a little like he's struggling because he's going down a chimney, and so even a little sooty. You know, you'll see that in a second. We'll get to that part. But there's that first section. And I do one section at a time because I do like to work wet on wet. So while that's a little wet, I'm going to come in here with my darker color just on the edges to just create a little depth around the lines. It's almost like, remember when you were in school and you color with crayons and you do the dark edge on the outside and then lighter in the middle? It's almost like that. It's actually pretty much exactly like that, except for the fact we're going to come back in with this guy and just knock the edge down of that we just drew in there. So I'm just coming back in kind of circular motions around the edge to get that to kind of work into the center. And again, I'm not trying to get a perfect blend. This is what I'm looking for. See how it kind of looks cartoony? That's what I'm looking for. All right, so then the next part of the red is here at the top. I have another tip for you. Y'all may get tired of my tips, but I think this is a good one. So I used to be a hairdresser, right? And when you're a hairdresser, they teach you to start in a certain place on the head with clippers all the time, because in the particular area that you start, if you use the wrong size and get the hair too short, you can blend to that area and no one will ever see it. So it's a way to hide any mistakes. Same thing with coloring. If you're not good at picking up the right colors every time, always start your first swipe at the edge in one side. And remember, if that's the wrong color, I'm going to come back with my darker color right there anyway, so it won't matter. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I think that's a pretty good tip. That might have to be a top tip. Because that way, if I use the dark color instead of the light color on accident, it's not a big deal. I haven't ruined it. But starting in the middle with your coloring, like right here, you've used the wrong color and there's nothing you can do. So let's just say I had used this one first. I'm coming here anyway, you see? So it's not that big of a deal. I don't know that you can see this, but I got a little red dot in the white fur of his little outfit. This is my blender pen. So this is just the clear alcohol blender pen. I'm going to get rid of that, but here's how. Alcohol pushes alcohol. So I'm going to put a little bit of this marker into that white section and push that red back. So you probably cannot see this. I'm not smearing it. I'm just pushing it back with my alcohol there. I'm going to let it bleed, let it push it back, and it will literally push it back into that black almost completely. You're not really erasing it. You're pushing it away. Pretty cool. All right, let's do his boots. All right, same thing. I'm doing a 2-color just like we did in school. So I'm going to color with the lightest color first. And again, start where you're going to cover with the dark. So if you pick up the wrong one, it won't matter. And I know I'm going to be putting dark there. And now I know I have the right marker so I can color wherever. I'm going to go ahead and do this side because this blending is pretty easy and quick. Now, you'll want to think about the lighting. If the lighting matters to you, you'll want to think about where you're doing your highlighting and your shadowing and things like that. For me, it's not really mattering that much here. I'm just wanting to get some dimension going in his little boots and things. So just a little bit of coloring here and there. Same thing here. All right, and then I'm going to go back with that other color and work on blending that into each other. Not a perfect blend. I'm just kind of smearing it together. And if you want darker boots, just do more dark. Now I flooded those boots with alcohol marker, and you can see that it's coming out the edge. I'm not worried about that because I'm going to be fussy cutting this. Now with that light color gray again, make sure I pick up the right one. The light color gray, I'm going to come in and do a little bit of half circle work up here to make some little like fur texture. And I'm using the gray on this instead of a blue, which I typically would probably use like a blue color to make it look really white. But I'm using gray because I want that kind of sooty look. Okay, well, let's fussy cut him. This is a perfect place to use your scan and cut, by the way, if you have one. I just have to cut one, so I'm just going to cut this one instead of loading up my scan and cut for one. So after I cut him out, I decided I want his boots a little darker than I've got them. So I'm just going to do a little more dark in here. Santa's boots were pretty dark, so let me come in and color a little more, and then I'll do a little more blending and moving that around. There we go. Okay, so he's ready to go. So this guy is going to come out of our chimney like this, but we need to keep building our chimney and make the piece for him to live on. So with my little chimney pieces here, I'm going to do the same thing with that lighter color gray marker. This is a tip for doing a little bit of shadowing, even on pieces. Instead of like distress inking, where I would normally just take my distress inker and do the edges, I want to do some shadowing on the brick. So watch what I'm going to do. Because this gray color is not really going to show up well on this red, it's going to kind of sink in. What it is going to do is just kind of leave a line of demarcation, you know, if you know what I'm saying, just a little bit of a hint of a shadow. So I'm just going to run it around these bricks like this and put in a little bit of dimension at the top, just so that there'll be a little bit of shadow in there. And I'm also going to run through and do the mortar. You can kind of see that very little on camera. I noticed this when I did it Thursday on the video. You could barely see it on camera, but in real life, you can see it. Now, between the bricks, the mortar or the grout, I don't know what we would call it. I'm going to run through here, and I'm just going to do a full solid line of this marker color. And once I get this one done, I'll hold it up to the camera and see if it doesn't help you be able to see a little better. I just think this is really cool how it gives a little bit of color or a little bit of dimension to our chimney so it's not quite so flat. Okay, let me bring this up and see if you can see it. It's so faint. You can kind of see it. On camera, it's real faint. In person, I can see it, and I really like how it changes the look from a flat, just brick chimney to have a little dimension, which you cannot see. Now, if you want it a little darker, you can certainly do that. You can either go over it twice, or you can use a little bit darker marker. It just depends on what you want. I just want to do it. I'm going to just hit it a little bit more here. And again, it's faint, but it's just enough to look distressed. And worst case scenario, use your distress inks and just distress your little bricks. I'm going to do all mine just like that. So now I have for myself a 3" by 3" piece. This is the piece that's going to go inside our box card to hold our Santa Claus. So what I want to do is put this into my scoreboard, and I'm going to score it a ½ inch in on each side. Now the way I like to do this is a 3" piece, so I'm going to move in ½ inch and score here. And then I'm going to turn this around and do that again, because I find it easier to score if I'm holding my paper here and scoring out here versus trying to get into that ½ inch. I struggle with that. So that makes things easier for me. All right, now I need to fold these up and crease them down. And you don't have to do this exactly 3 inches. 3 inches is the height of my chimney, so I'm going to do it that way so it'll kind of sit down in there. And I know I have plenty of space to glue my Santa Claus to it. So you'll see this will sit inside like this, and I'll glue it across, and then I can put my Santa on there. So all we need to do at this point is add some glue to these flaps. So I'm going to put a little glue here on this side, and then I'm going to flip it over and do a little on this side. All right, and then with my flaps folded in slightly, I'm going to take this guy and slide him in and put those into place. And having it the same height helps me to press that like I need to. And I'm going to use my little bone folder and come in here and push that down. Now you can put your fingers inside and just do some pressing if you need to. After it's dried a little bit, you'll be able to close it and press it again. See how I'll be able to do like this and then press that down into place. That's what we're looking for eventually, because we will be folding this shut into our card. So we want to make sure our little flap will go both directions, this way and this way. Now, before I go any further, I want to go ahead and take some distress ink. This is actually hickory smoke, which makes perfect sense. And I want to ink my little chimney up. I want it to look as if it were smoky. So I'm just going to start inking around here like so. And if it's messy, it's really kind of fine, because that's what I'm looking for. It's like, oops, Santa has stopped up the chimney and the smoke is starting to pool around, or the soot is starting to go kind of everywhere. So just inking that up to get that gray on there. Super cute, especially at the top. I really want it up here where it looks like it's coming out. So just play and put your soot wherever it lands. So that's cute there at the top. I'm also going to go ahead and ink the edges of everything else. You don't have to. You actually could just ink the chimney itself because that would make sense. But I think it'll help to tie everything together if I go ahead and ink this all up too. So even here at the bottom. And I can fold this and get in here and get both sides really well. So I'm going to be using the Dots and Stripes gingham pack, and I'm going to use this charcoal color because I think this is so cute and it looks so cute with the fireplace. And this piece I've cut 5 1/4 by 1 3/4, and it's going to go right inside of here and be the inside of my chimney on the back. That's what we'll be looking at. I think that is super cute, so I'm going to glue that in really quick. So just using some art glitter glue. You could do either side. Look how cute this side is too. But I like that little diagonal check that I get on the other side. I think it's cute. And this guy just slides in like so. And I'll line it up here at the top. Make sure the sides look good. Press it down here, and then I can put my finger in and press it in there as well. You can close it and press it if you need to. Isn't that cute? Oh, that's going to be adorable. See that? Let's put our bricks on because I think they're super cute too. So I'm going to lift up those little side panels there and grab our bricks. Now these are going to have a top and bottom for me. Remember how I ran the bricks off the top when I did the stamping? I want this part to be the bottom. So the part where the bricks keep continuing out, that's going to be the top. That way all of the bottoms of my images on this will look very similar all the way around the box. Okay, so just grab a hold of that. And just center this in here. And see that little flap that's laying down at the top to be the little concrete part of the chimney is going to hide this section. So that way all the way around I'll get the same look. Oh, that's going to be so cute. So check it out. Our chimney is all set all the way around. This is where I'm going to say to either put a sentiment or for me to write on. The rest is where I'm going to put Santa and another little element here. So let's get Santa. He's right here. I'm going to put a little glue just along the back side of him here, right where his little, the top of his little pants are there, his shirt. And that's what's going to get glued in to our little brace there in the center. Oh, it's so cute. So look what we're looking like. Isn't that adorable? And now I'm going to do a sentiment that pops out the side here. So using some of my white paper, I'm going to cut a little piece that says, "Hurry down the chimney." I think this is cute. Hurry down the chimney, Santa. That's what we're hoping that he will do. So I'm just going to stamp this here on one side, just like so. I think that's cute. And then I'm going to cut that to be like a banner. So I'm going to go to my trimmer here, and I'm just going to put this into the trimmer and cut it pretty even on both sides. I can always trim it if I don't get it perfect, but I think that's about right. That's pretty close. Okay. So I'm going to cut some of this out of my way. I don't need that. I want a little wide on my paper there. And now I'm going to take my cutter bees. I'm going to cut a slit in the center like so. And then from one corner to the other, I'm going to snip that away like this. And I'm only going to do that on one side. I don't think it needs to be on both sides. And I want to put this here. I think I'm going to outline it with another piece of paper so it'll really pop. But I think that'll be cute. And remember, I have all of this space in my envelope because this closes flat. So I have the space and I can put something cute here as well. So let me see what I've got in my stash. I think I got an idea for this one. So I've cut a piece that's 1 7/8 by 3.5 inches. Here's why. This is going to be long enough here for me to mat the end of my little banner piece, but here I want to make a little circular end. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and glue this piece down to our little extra piece there. So I'm going to glue this one down, and then I can come back and do the little trimming there. I may even leave that. I like the plaid showing. I may not trim that away at all because I think that's kind of cute. And then what I'm going to do is take this guy and I'm going to slide it into a circle punch. This is a 2-inch circle punch. I'm going to slide this in so that I can do a little rounding on one end of it. You have to kind of finagle it because there's the little cut pieces in there. You got to get it in there good. It always takes me a minute to get it in there. There we go. Okay, and I'm just going to cut that and round that edge off. And I'm going just to where the paper's right inside and punch that. Look how cute that is. It looks like a little tag. It's so cute. And then I'm going to punch a hole in the top. So using my Crop-A-Dot in the smaller hole side, I'm going to run that in and put a little hole so I have a place to put a bow. Anytime I have an excuse for a bow, right? I cannot decide if I want to cut into that. I think I do. It's going to bother me if I don't. So here's what I'm going to do. Same thing I did earlier. Make a little slice and then just trim this to meet that. Yeah, it looks better with it trimmed. And then trim it to meet that. So a lot of you guys are probably saying, trim it, trim it. I hear you. There we go. So our little tag is ready. I got a little flyaway right there. There we go. All right, and now let's do a little bow. So I'm going to use this shiny silver long trimmings from Lawn Fawn. And I don't know, do I want to do a bow? I think a bow will be cute. So a little extra trimming. I always need a little extra when I'm tying a bow because I want to be able to play. So do that there. And then I'm going to start my bow. Just pull that, and then before I tighten it, I'm going to get my loops like I like them and then pull it nice and snug. Let's see, that might be a little big for what I'm looking for. So play with that and then pull it snug when you got it where you want it. That looks pretty close. There we go, and now trim it away. There we go. All right, let's put that onto our little card. That'll be so cute back there. Hurry down the chimney, Santa. I'm just going to glue it straight to the card. You could foam square it if you wanted to, but I think it'll be cute just glued straight to the card. So on the back, at an angle, like so. I want to make sure I'm not above my chimney there because it does have to fit into my envelope, and I want to make sure when I close it, I'm inside that section. That will still fit in my A2 envelope just like that. So then when the person gets it, they'll just open it up and have hurry down the chimney. Isn't that cute? I think it's adorable. So if you want a place to write or put a sentiment, it's right here. You might even could put something back here. That would be super cute too. But I think this is precious and a cute way to use our little Santa Stuck stamp set and give this as a gift. So cute. Now from the top, it looks like that. It's very simple, very plain. But when you have this on your desk or on your table, even if you did it like this, look how cute that is. Even if it was sitting sideways like that, it's so cute. You can do lots with this. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. If you make this card or one like it, I want to see it. Head to my website, maymaymadeit.com, and go to our customer gallery. There are over 2,000 projects there for you to get inspiration from. And share your pictures with us there, too, so we can be inspired by what you guys are making. Thanks so much for watching today. Talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye.